Hi, everyone. This is Mary Kwiatkowski here, getting ready to speak with the most recent team extracted from episode 6 of Fox's new survival show, Extracted. If you haven't watched the show yet, make sure you check that out and then come back for the interview. Of course, you should also check out our coverage of the episode recaps over on We Know Reality TV on the Rob is a Podcast network. All right. Today, I'm joined by survivalist Robin and her husband Lance. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
So, Robin, I want to start off by saying we saw from some of the clips a little bit of your background with hiking and doing some other outdoorsy type activities. In what ways did these prepare you for your experience on Extracted?
Do you really think you can be that prepared? I think my mental space. It prepared my mental space not to be too shocked. I went and took some archery lessons and did some fires up at Mount Charleston, although it rained that day. Never rains here, but anyways, got some smoke and gained about 6 pounds so that
Nice.
maybe I wouldn't starve out there because I have a problem with being hungry. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it
yeah.
seemed like everyone did out there this time. I know that that's kind of a debate of whether or not you should practice being hungry or if you should add some fat on you, kind of to weigh it out. I don't know.
I
But
think it's each person kind of, and who knows who wants to starve themselves anyway. So I was like, no, I'm just going to feed myself. So
yeah. And we saw on the flip side toward the end there that your family was getting a little concerned with how much like how it looked like you were losing weight and how you seemed to be struggling a little bit. What was the hardest part of the experience out there for you?
not being able to share it with anybody.
Mm,
I think I thought we were going to meet with the survivors, the rest of the survivalists, but that didn't really happen even in challenges other than maybe like the deer,
hmm.
where I had some conversation with Haley and a couple other people. Did that ever happen? So being alone 24/7, like it's nice. Sometimes you're like, oh, I can zen out. And then you're like, well, this is kind of boring. There's nobody to share it with.
Yeah, how did you handle the boredom out there?
Oh, well, I had a bowling alley. You don't know that. There was a bridge and I got some rocks and I had bowling and hoped that someone would come and bowl with me, but Jake was too busy cutting down trees or something. So, yeah. You just
That's so
kind of
funny.
eating, really, you're looking for food or,
Hmm.
berries or trying to secure everything at your camp, we knew the rains were coming in, so trying to get your shelter better and also kind of laying around a little bit so you're not burning those calories. So
Yeah, how did your shelter hold up overall?
I had a sweet shelter. I had like a little hobbit thing going on. I'm about 5'2", so when I arrived at my camp, I could see there was a tree that had grown over the top of this huge boulder. So what I did is I built walls on each side of it, and then once I won the tarp and deer skin and a bug net, I was able to really secure it. And I didn't have but maybe one night where it leaked.
Wow,
So yeah, yeah, I
that's
had a sweet
awesome.
little place. And then a little stream that ran beside me where I was able to, when we got the deer meat, I was able to secure it in there and keep it refrigerated like Ryan did, Ryan W.
Cool. So did you actually cook some of your deer meat and eat that?
I did. I had built a big smoker and I had a rotisserie that you
Wow.
don't get to see. So I did. It did have some revenge on me during the
Oh.
night, but it tasted good at first.
So, Lance, on the flip side, back at HQ, a big part of your story out there was centered around, the relationship with your daughter and, everything going on with that. Do you feel like the time out there together really helped you to relate with each other a little bit?
Yes, it absolutely did because I saw a lot of comments saying, they need therapy, not reality shows. But I will say that this was actually some of the best therapy because we were forced together 24/7 to work on a common goal for the person we love without our cell phones, without any distractions. And we were locked in a room together at night and we were in HQ all day. So I learned a lot about her. I spent more time with her on this show than I have in the last 5 to 6 years. And I remember looking back at that table when we left and just missing all those moments. I would sit there and watch her coloring or just having, I would just look over and saw her drawing. She drew Robin's campsite and it was just so sweet, and I just being there with her for that was my win, getting to know her better. We had a lot of good times. Of course, you're seeing a lot of the bad, but we had some very sweet moments, and to me, it was so worth it.
Yeah. And how was that for you, Robin, watching, now that you've been home and you're watching the show, like seeing what's been going on in HQ while you're out there?
It was difficult, in the first couple of
Hmm.
episodes, but I, I also think about how well I had it out there. So I know that at some point they were like coming together and they were building the alliances and all those things. So it was hard to watch that in the beginning, but it's been nice to see them work together and get me some pretty sweet gear.
I'll tell you this, Mary, is like what saved us after she stormed out of the confessional. That was the hard episode for us to watch. Carly and Natalie saved us because I was ready to
Hmm.
they took Faith, they did a girls' night, and it was the sweetest thing. They put the game aside. All the ladies did a girls' night for Faith. The men kind of stayed away, and they got her head back in a better place because I was ready to give up. I went to Carly and said, "Look, I know it's in your best interest for us to leave, but I would like to hang around a little bit longer because I know Robin's thriving out there." Robin was doing absolutely fine and probably better than everyone, but we were keeping that on the low because we were playing the game. I was gaming, I've seen you say it. 5 minutes into the show, I was gaming. I walk in there and I'm immediately identifying people that I knew would hopefully be able to, they outlasted me, but, people that would be there as long as we were and that I could trust. And the teams I picked, I feel very good about. And I chose one of them and then I said, hey, we had these two rooms in the back and they had these books with these strange covers on them. And I took one of them and I said, hey, you take the left room, I'll take the right room. Let's go back there and look for advantages. I hadn't been on the set, I hadn't sat down in my chair yet. But instead of me going back there and going through both rooms or sending Faith back there, I was trying to establish trust with someone to say,
Yeah.
I want to work with you. And I could have been greedy. And I said, if you find something great, if I find something. And we went back there and we thumbed through every book. And we were playing chess from pretty much the minute we set foot in there. And
Yeah. And I think that's been pretty apparent from us watching, and obviously this is a interesting show. It's the first season. There's a lot of different people playing kind of different games, but as big fans of reality TV and competitive shows, like we definitely latched on pretty quickly. We're like, oh, Faith and Robin, they're gaming out there. We like that. They're playing it. So yeah, how did that formal kind of alliance start with Carly and Natalie?
Well, I was struggling, I think, the very first night just watching Robin out there with, n- just with nothing. They went out there with the clothes on her back. She was sitting up against a tree. She was lonely. I think everyone struggled that first night, just realizing that I'm isolated here.
Hmm.
Carly came over and gave me I think she sat with me for 2 hours and I was still learning names. So by her name, I wrote Carly and I put in parentheses therapist because I was trying to find something for each person. And she was my therapist and she got me in a better head space. That side of the room, it was really the alliances seemed to form within the perimeter of where you were sitting. They weren't near us, but as we got to know them better and they were looking after Faith, after they helped get Faith's head in a good place, I was completely committed to them. The word alliance it was very scary for some teams to use that word in there. Having watched every season of Survivor, The Amazing Race, we knew that it was important to have people that were going to have your back.
Right.
We knew that there was going to, I mean, I said it in the beginning that we were going to have a chance at some point to help people. We're going to have a chance to hurt people. We may have a chance to vote people out. We did not know going into a new game. There were teams plotting who they would vote out. And, it's just, we had to prepare for all these different contingencies. And that's not scheming, that was playing and trying to
Yeah.
stay in the game. And I think, did a very good job at kind of anticipating what was to come. And that was why I was in there trying to I had a goal about 3 teams, and those 3 teams, my word to them was always help, never hurt. I'll never hurt you. I don't care what it takes. And Robin will tell you this. And she didn't like me finding out I said this. I told teams that I will pull Robin from the game before I betray you. And I meant that. I was going to go in there and play an honest game. And if it burned us, so be it. But I know that someday my grandkids, my great grandkids are going to see this show on some platform. And I want them to be proud of the family that they saw in there.
Yeah, and that's definitely coming across. So we even see a lot of clips of Abby, for example, going up and comforting Faith and stuff. So it's been nice to see the bonding that's been happening. Robin, was this your master plan the whole time to to get Lance and Faith to have some time to bond?
Actually, because their logistics and their strategies are spot on, that was really my first that was my first goal, because I knew if I had someone working with their mind and their heart for me, we would do well. And that's, was the case. So I think for me, it was good to have them go and work for me. They needed to do that. And sorry, cat decided to come in here. And so it was double. It was good to see them and know that they were working for me, and I knew that by the things that were I was receiving.
Hmm. So speaking of things that you were receiving, do you feel like having a potato there at the end would have really turned things around at all?
Hey, mashed potatoes, boiled potatoes, you don't know. Food may have been, whoop, I'm so sorry, may have been the best thing for me out there, because that's one of my Achilles heels
Hmm.
is the lack of food. Um, besides being out there alone. And it wasn't being alone like you're scared alone. It's just boring. When you're you can't share like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I did this. Did you see this? Um, but a potato, if that's what it took, then I would have been all for it. But
And
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was saying you were fine physically. I mean, a week after we went
Yeah.
out the show, she went and climbed Mount Whitney. And she wasn't even supposed to be doing that. And I couldn't keep pace with her. And this is a 14,500-foot mountain that she went out and just smoked 7 days after she came off the show and had lost weight and everything. So and that proved to me that out there, she was fine. She
That's
was
awesome.
physically just was dominant, but yet we had to keep playing the weak card because I didn't want to be up near the top of the list.
Yeah, definitely. So, Robin, if you could have received any one item out there in a supply drop that you think would have made the experience better, what would you have picked?
a better fishing pole, except that I built one. I
Oh,
did build one. You don't get to see it, I don't think, but we got some fishing gear, and I had this cork and screw thing, and I disassembled it, got an alder tree, built a fly fishing pole. So a real fishing pole and a boat would have been great to get some fish.
I'm just thankful
Other
that you
than
didn't
that, I
say,
was good.
had you said one more letter, you would have crushed my heart because watching your letter burn hurt.
I
oh,
had some, I
Thank you for
mean,
not saying that.
what they don't know is I have so many, and I've kept them, Mary. I even have some more in here.
oh, that's
I got a lot
awesome.
of letters. So to have that letter burned wasn't what bothered me the most. Was that we had heard from the mountain gods that we were going to be ranked
Mm,
from strongest to weakest. And at that moment, because I didn't get that letter, and things happened, I thought I was the weakest, but my family was playing a really good game.
hmm.
So I'm one of those that I took it hard, but I recover really fast. So I got up the next morning, I got my shoes on, I could hear who I called Bob the Builder. Jake was my Bob the Builder. And I thought, today's a better day. I went and built that fishing pole and was ready to get my head back in the game.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Someone wise once told me it doesn't always keep getting harder. So sometimes it can turn around.
Yeah.
Well, we loved watching y'all out there. It was definitely over at RHAP, one of our favorite teams to root for. You were crushing it, Robin, Lance and Faith. You
Thank
were really pulling the emotional heartstrings and also gaming out there. So really the best all around. Couldn't have asked for more from a reality show.
Thank you, Mary.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for having us, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll get a redemption.
Yeah, exactly. You can always hope for that. All right. Thank you
That's right.
both.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.